Yeah, hi, good afternoon everyone. I think it is the toughest session we were just at least we are used to dozing off after lunch, in after lunch sessions, but not audible. Can everyone hear me? Yeah, okay, fine. Okay, so apologies to everyone who were expecting Abhishek Sharma from Blackberries over here. He had to go out for some personal emergency, so I am just making up for him. My name is Ankit from Fab India. So I think you already know our panelists and the topic on digital transformation of supply chain. I think when I was just walking in, I saw some big words: manufacturing 5.0, transformation. I don't even know what 4.0 was or 3.0. So, but I run a business where customer is the king, and I think that is the most important thing. 3.0, 5.0 will keep happening, but till the time you are not close to your customers, nothing actually really matters in business, which is true for I think all the industries, and I think that is where, in my opinion, personal opinion, supply chain plays a big role in defining whether you are close to the customer or you are away from the customer. So I'll just start with one example, and then I will open the questions to the esteemed panelists. So in our industry in apparel, we have, you would have heard, a company called Zara. The entire world wants to copy Zara, and they try to copy the fast fashion that Zara manufactures without realizing that Zara is actually an epitome of supply chain efficiency. It is not about what they manufacture, it is about how they ensure that the new fashion reaches the customers fastest. So they have a factory in Spain which is close to their headquarters. They manufacture something new that they see across the globe, just ship it out to the stores in 2 days. They are the first in the market because they ship out in 2 days. It reaches their customers in Europe. They take quick feedback from the customers. Whatever works well in the next 7 days, they send it out for mass manufacturing to Asia, to China, wherever they have their manufacturing base. So I think that is the importance of supply chain. It is up to us how we use supply chain to be effective. No business can run without a nimble supply chain in today's day and age. I think with that, I would just ask Mr. Radha Mohan Gupta about his thoughts on a connected supply chain from planning to sir after sales service, because often I have seen that planning is one department, sales is something else, after sales is something else, and manufacturing is doing as per their own whims and fancies. But I think in today's day and age, rather than a push system, it is a pull from the market that we have to work on. So how do we work with these kind of connected systems, or your thoughts on how someone can do that?
Sure. Good afternoon. And thanks, Ankit, to start the session. Ankit mentioned that this is the session after lunch and it is difficult. So it is difficult rather for the participants, I'll say, right? So we need to keep it, and we'll try to make it very interesting. So while we are talking about, I think Ankit asked very pointed question in terms of that supply chain being connected, right? I have a different point of view that when we are calling it chain, it's already connected, right? That's how it is called chain. That supply chain, the name itself says that they are connected. However, the difference which is coming now is that chains are becoming networks, right? You have the chains of suppliers on one side. You have the chains of customer as well. He deals with their customers, supplier deal with their customers. And that's where the concept of network is coming in. Now, I have been for 30 years in the industry, and in different kind of industry, FMCG, food and beverages, QSR. Let me give you an example. COVID time, right? Now, there are some of the suppliers not working. However, there are some of the suppliers are working, and they are interconnected. So there are two kinds of suppliers. One is connected, another is not connected. Anyways, those who are not connected were not performing or were not able to produce as per the demand. Those who were connected were producing what is required in the market. And it is out of my own experience that there were many complaints on the service at the COVID time. However, if they were well connected with their parent client or customer, whatever you call them, they were producing exactly what is required. And why it was important? Because there was constraint on labor. There were constraint on the manufacturing time which was available to them. So one advantage of being connected, number one. Number two, I take this from another industry without taking the name of the company I worked with, right? There you deal with perishable products, right? The vegetables, etc. Now, if they are 3 hours old, they will become stale and nobody will buy them. Now, if you are connected with your store in the market and you know that what is the actual requirement going over there, and you have a Power BI in your office or dashboard in front of me, the 1,000 stores across India, you can see what is that tomato is not available over there. It's a wrong example now, right? But the chili powder is not available in Guwahati, right? Or something is not available, it is on your table. And then it is by the exception you come to know that these are the stores having these kind of issues. Like if you go on a pizza store, 2 birthday parties, and entire inventory management is gone for a toss. Right? You agree with me? Right? It is entirely gone for toss, whatever inventory management you do, because these 2 birthday parties are unexpected. People just walked in over there. However, if stores are connected very well, at least you have ability to supply to them. That is number one. And then if you are connected back with your suppliers, your agility and flexibility to supply becomes much higher. So giving these 2 examples, I conclude on 2-3 things. That of course, this connecting is very much important for number one is the visibility in the system. Number one. And if you have the visibility into the system, there are many actions you can take. And there are many which you still can't take is fine. But you can take much more and then improve the service level, number one. Number two, what it does is also, it's a collaborating effort. Right? Business is business for everyone. When I need more supplies, it's business for my supplier, and he doesn't want to lose it. Nobody is in charity. He doesn't want to lose it. He wants to supply it. And then mind you, if you are connected well, these are the times where you rate your vendors in the time of uncertainty, which are the vendors who came forward and could support you. Right? So it's a long-term, not vendors, but the partnership comes into the picture over there. So the collaboration automatically builds up and improves if you are connected. That is the second one. Third one, there are many, but I'll conclude by saying is the risk management. Once there are in the people, in the system, at every stage, your supplier is connected, they know what is the risk coming in, this product is going up. You are on the sales side and you are on the supply chain side, you know which product is doing well and you can connect it, and your monthly planning buckets nowadays were changing to 10 days, which I heard into many of the companies. Now let me tell you, they are on daily basis, right? They are on daily basis because you are connected. I can produce this, but it's not required. And that's where the connectivity is coming into picture, Ankit. So I would say that its supply chain was always connected, but with the technology coming in like AI, blockchains, etc., it's becoming even more intelligent, and the more aligned and more informed decisions are being taken to make it more responsive. Thank you.
Yeah, please.
Can I add some thoughts? So good afternoon. I think it's a very tough session after lunch. So let's keep it live. So I'll keep on saying good afternoon till I get some response from the crowd. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. So let's see, like, where is the best supply chain? Any idea? Let's take it. Let's see which is the best example of a supply chain. Is our own kitchen in the house, and you see the one who manages that kitchen. Have you ever heard that more guests come in and we say we can't serve food? See, do they have any tools? But there is some algo running in the kitchen. And whether it is winter, whether it is summer, whether it is any season, whether there are any number of guests, see, you will get the correct food, everybody will be fed. And second thing, it will be fresh. Today's supply chain, like Radha said, freshness is very important. So you see, If we understand the science in the kitchen, so I think supply chain, you can understand the supply chain. Now coming to the technology part of it, what do we do in the kitchen is that we do daily forecasting. Our forecasting is so accurate because unless we do correct forecasting, the supply chain, connection of supply chain will never be correct. Because you cannot challenge customer. He is the king. He can buy anything at any time, at his own sweet time, at his own time of choosing, but we have to use some science. So if we have to, as the customer needs are changing, the forecasting techniques have changed. So we'll talk about two techniques today. So one is that many of us thought theory of constraint, or TOC, is the best science we can use. But is it 100% successful? No. Then you will find certain other algos. We take forecasting techniques which are ML based, machine learning based. If data is not correct in that and the data changes too frequently, again the algo will change. So you will not get correct. So now there are solutions which have combined theory of constraint and machine learning based forecasting. They are not 100%, but they are 80 to 90% correct. And why this is important is that we all know for Atmanirbhar, if we have to become number 3 economy, the only sector that has to flourish is manufacturing. We cannot depend on services and agriculture for umpteen number of years. So if it has to flourish, if you see cost of supply chain, India is between 10 to 15%, 12 to 15%, which is one of the highest in the world. So world is approximately 8 to 10%. So this, if we have to reduce this gap, I think we have to bring some science into it so that we give fresh products, we give products which are economical, and we use some scientific techniques to make it better. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajiv. I think two very important points over here. One, which sir said, first I think is the visibility, and for that visibility, one of the things which Rajiv said, if the data going is not accurate, then obviously the output will be bad. But then moving on to what we do with visibility, once we get the visibility, then I think it is the movers in logistics and warehousing who come into play a lot of times. And I think this industry has moved from just warehousing or trucking to a lot of value added services. Now supply chain solution or logistics third party providers are more like partners who manage a big part of your supply chain just after manufacturing. So Rishi, your thoughts on how you are helping your customers digitize their supply chains with visibility and across industries, from one is your customers and then your customers' customers, so that the end consumer is taken care of with your solutions. So your thoughts.
Sure, thank you, Ankit. And so very vast question to answer. And but I want to pick from what Rajiv just mentioned. India wants to move from the current logistics inefficiency-led supply chains to much more efficient supply chains. And that is not only now something which is in our minds or hearts as emotion. Now it is major number. Now even the leadership, the political leadership is talking about double-digit to single-digit cost of supply chain, percentage of GDP. So I think the focus is growing, and to do that kind of transformation, because here we are talking about close to 50% cutting the cost of supply chain. Now to do that, I'll just pick two words from here, the panel subject. We are talking here digital transformation. Now, there is a very strong clarity in our head, and when I say our head, TVS supply chain, to become nimble, to become efficient, cost effective. It's very crucial that we leverage technology. The other word that with digital here that we see in the title of the panel is transformation. There comes a bit challenge. Now, I will do a very quick survey right away here with the permission of audience. So, I'll ask you with show of hands two possibilities. When a supply chain needs to be designed or invested, and I should say more invested. So, when the investment decision happen, your management will go for A, incremental improvements, or B, transformational breakthrough. So with show of hand, incremental, right? And transformational? Great. So what I see is, with the number of hands, what I see is that is still larger chunk, like 70-30, 70% people still believe incremental. And that is one of the roadblock. And I believe that as participant to this transformation journey, incremental has been a way of life in manufacturing. Because we have always been talking about continuous improvement, learning from Japanese and so many other evolved economies. I think we have to also think parallelly. Can we not do, I mean, in manufacturing itself, we talk about concurrent engineering. I think we have to also think at planning and execution level from our annual operating plan level, that how we not only plan incremental a lot, but we also start filling in some part with transformational activities also. And I'll give one example also here. So one of our customer, one of the top two-wheeler manufacturer, exporting their bikes to various other countries, and especially, I would say, less developed countries like Africa, Nepal, and so on. So to reduce the cost, because manufacturing is happening in India and these vehicles to be exported to these countries, to reduce the cost, they do CKD units, because the duty changes there in favor of the consumer. So to do that, when they're packing, imagine complete knockdown bike in one box, and the number of components, a couple of thousand components in one box. Now this box, what we used to see that through these incremental improvements, they took close to 10 plus years to achieve a efficiency level where the part is not missed. So at their peak, after investing 10 years of lot of incremental initiatives, the level of achievement was that out of 1,000 bikes shipped, there were close to 40 bikes which were still getting one or two part missed, or sometimes very major part missed. Now the point was that in percentage it might not look very big, but those consumers who were at receiving end, I think for them it was big pain. Plus the kind of escalation they would do, because someone ordering bike in those countries, for them delay would mean a lot of frustration. And this was creating a lot of chaos as well. So one simple solution that was brought by TVS Supply Chain Solution was to start using vision system, which is at like for example, if this whole CKD assembly line, it has 10 stations. So every station some components are added. Now just using simple visual photograph of the station, once the activity is done, the way the image now can be read, I think so many advances have happened, but it's a very simple thing just to identify which component which was to be placed at a particular place is there or not there. So by just using this simple one innovation, which made the whole experience so scalable that from 40 units out of 1,000, the defect rate went to 0. So, so these kind of things are possible, and it's not that we have to invest enormous, huge capital to achieve this. It is possible with very simple tools and techniques. And I have seen that in India, any futuristic technology that we can imagine, one of the company at least, either in a pilot scale or in a very scaled level, they are already doing it. So, so having said this, what I believe that in the evolution of supply chain, I think this is the time for India, because we are, as we just heard from Rajiv, that from our efficiency side, how much bad we are when it comes to supply chain. And what we also heard from Radha Mohan, that how that connected part. So the planning information system, that is one very important key. But I personally believe that what is going to play much more critical role is that how we can start building those not only incremental, but those transformational breakthrough elements in our annual plans. Invest maybe in a smaller way, but invest in things which are really transforming the supply chain and making it, if not nationally, internationally best in class, but at least nationally best in class. Thank you.
Rishi has mentioned, I think he mentioned about digital and transformation. Now I think we are at very, very interesting situation in Indian industry. You'll find that different industry and then different companies, they are at a different stage of transformation. What's happening now as of now is just copying, right? You talk to, and I have been working with a lot of MSMEs, right? They don't even have supply chain function. Do you agree with me? Right? How many of you agree with me? Raise your hands. Right? I will not name the company who is doing so well. Of course, there was a planning function. Of course, there is a forecasting function. Of course, there is a procurement function. However, are they working as a supply chain orchestrated function as of now? Some of them still not. And now that's where you need the transformation, which is right at the basic stage, right? They need to just connect. Digital comes later. I'm sorry to say this, and I may disappoint some of you here, but that comes later. It's the process which need to be corrected first, and then supply chain is to be seen as a supply chain function. That's number one. Now come to the second stage. They have the supply chain function. However, the simply automation or the simply ITification, I use the word, is being done, right? That's another thing which people need to be very, very aware of. The simply getting the IT tools and then implementing them is not going to achieve anything. Mind you, I have burnt my own fingers, right? It's not going to give you any benefit. However, if we do the business process re-engineering, how I'm going to improve my process and then do the ITification, because IT is enabler. This is the enabler, right? Otherwise, it will be garbage in, garbage out. You have to correct your processes. That's the second stage the Indian industry is. And the final stage is where you have an evolved supply chain function, right? The people are changing the concept of vendor to supply partners, right? Just to give you an example of MNC where I worked, again without naming them, some of the product you see in the market are developed by vendors, their vendors, right? You will, I think, you will get shocked if I name that product is developed by the vendor. Now, why it is so? Because they have evolved organization. Now, from the vendor, they are now transforming to becoming or treating them as a business partner, where they sit into the new product development meetings right from the beginning, and they say, ये टाइप का बॉटल यहाँ नहीं चलेगा, हम लोग नहीं बना पाएंगे तो कॉस्ट इतना ज़्यादा होगा, कस्टमर नहीं दे पाएगा ये सारी की सारी कॉस्ट. So what I'm saying is, it's high time we recognize that at which stage of transformation we are as a particular company, and then accordingly decide the action plan for transformation.
So sir, I'll just hold your thought over there, and I want to come back to that question later. But I think till now we have discussed one part of the supply chain, moving a little bit upstream towards manufacturing. Rajiv, where I would be happy if you could share your thoughts on, while there is digital and everything, but how is today's automation, AI and things like those robos and cobos, and how are these things impacting the manufacturing sector? Rest of the things are downstream, but let's start with the manufacturing. Are there examples from, let's say, Luminous or other places that you have seen where we could share examples of how you have used them to improve your manufacturing facility?
So thank you, Ankit. I think it's a great question. So first of all, like all the people sitting in the room, like if you see 7 to 8 years back, in any organization, I think only discussion used to happen, sale. And now you see that it is always supply chain has taken its role, and it is, I think, supply chain from shop floor, it has gone to top floor. So big compliments to all of you. I think this is the time for supply chain professionals. Now coming on the question that what we see like on automation. So first I think 3 to 4 years back debate was, is this automation good for India where labor is cheap, where resources are cheap, is it good or bad? So it used to take a lot of convincing time, lot of ROI calculations whether it is good or bad. And even if we did that automation, because we had not trained the people, maybe we could not get the exact ROI. But the times have changed, and so we have to change. We have seen that if we don't change, so you have seen after the COVID or the China impact, we have not got maximum business. Small countries like Indonesia, Philippines, they have got maximum business. India has not got maximum business. So which means it's an opportunity as well as a threat, which means we have to change. So we started this automation journey around 4 to 5 years back in Luminous also. So not only on the hardcore manufacturing, but also on processes. I think Mr. Mohan touched about the processes. It's very important. We started from simple IQC, and we started with robotic process automation because that was the cheapest thing to do. We thought that it is easy to convince about ROI. So what is this robotic process automation? Similar, if you take that you have to measure some length, you will have an inspector, he measures length, he takes out sample. We did nothing. In the gauge, we fitted a PLC and we fitted a screen and a buzzer. So as you put something in the jig, the record of measurement is there, and if it is okay within the specification, the buzzer and the record will be there. So no need of so many inspectors doing that kind of check. So see, one, it is foolproof. Second is, it eliminates non-value added activity because there is no value added. It's just, the gauge is checking everything. He's just taking the sample, taking its sample out. So we started with such kind of small robotic process automations. If somebody is using an oven, you will see some inspector is there changing the temperature. We didn't do that. We put thermocouples and with PLC again regulated, with thermocouple senses, the temperature auto-regulated inside the oven, and the signal goes to burner, it has to be on or it has to be off. So like this, we did this, and the best part was that we did with our own maintenance and innovation team. We took one person from every department, because if you have to go on automation journey, it is very important that your people should understand and value this automation. And once they did themselves, one is they knew how to repair it if it doesn't function. Second thing, because it took a lot of their sweat and hard work, they cared about this automation. Second thing we touched was material handling. Because any factory or manufacturing process, it's very difficult to count how many material handlers we have. Every day they keep on changing, every hour they keep on changing. And there is no justification because you cannot measure it. So we tried, first what we tried, we made a first tow car, or what we call as water spider, by our own people. And today we have graduated to one of its kind in India, which we call as autonomous mobile robotic system. The robot automatically senses which station material requires. It goes to the supermarket, lifts up the material and gives it to the thing. It's a very successful automation story, and almost all material handling we have eliminated through this kind of a mechanism. Then in material handling, you will see only we know conveyors on the top, but lot of conveyors and different types of conveyors can be used for material handling, and they can go deep inside, they can go in a tunnel, and they can go vertically, they can go horizontally, and lot of those things can be done. Second thing, then we talked about robotics and cobotics. So definitely certain operations, at least in manufacturing, where it's very difficult for a robot to understand. So with IIT, we did a project together, and we worked on collaborative robotics, what we call as cobotics. And today, in our many stations, robot and operator work together to complete an operation. We get better ROI also, and complicated stage where robot, it's very difficult for robot and to catch that kind of a speed because twist movements are there. Those are done by together. Then third thing, we made a plan that only up to testing the main job on a product is done. But after testing, there are so many stages. Packing, putting thermocol, putting carton, taking it to FG. Here we again used robotic system, and I think we try to figure out if any industry, we are the only one, that after testing, even right from folding the carton to taping, to putting labels, to taking it to FG, we have used complete robotic system on that. Coming to a simple, one more example on electronic assembly. We say MOSFET is a very important, or heat sink is a very important operation. We automated it and we designed the process ourselves because now our team was quite versatile on that automation journey. So they could design the process, and once you design the automation process, even if you have to outsource a little bit of it, it will become much more imperative and much more practical for your station. We just heard about vision. So we use this intelligent vision system also. So what we did is once we pack, for example, we do the auto insertion into the PCB. So we have a vision system which will take the photograph and will simulate with the original pick and place and check it and whether it is okay or not, and take a decision whether it has to go for soldering or it has not to go for soldering. So these kind of designs of automation where the ROI will be very high can only be done once your team has understood the automation journey completely. And first, all these non-value added activities which you see on the shop floor, which we call as hidden factory, I think a lot of it can be done by, and we call it low-cost automation. It's not necessary by very, very expensive robotic mechanism. Even if you take your own servo motors, you take your swivel arms, you can make your simple pick and place robot can be made inside the shop floor. And this is a journey. Once they will make this simple pick and place robotic system, they can design big cobotics and big 360 degrees robotic systems as well. So while we work on hardware, on cobotics and robotics, it is very important to focus on robotic process automation. One last example I would like to give you. The most idle asset inside a factory is what? Camera. We put so many cameras inside the factory, but do we think one security guard looking at 100 or 150 cameras, are we doing justice to him? Is he looking at all the photographs that are generated at such a fast pace? He is also there because he is supposed to gaze at it. I don't know whether we are doing any justice. So ultimately, any productivity for cameras? No. Any accident has to happen, it will happen. Any fire accident has to happen, it will happen. Nothing. So this camera is just, it has been placed since ages, it is there. Now see automation on it. This camera you can use that you don't even have to count your finished goods when you ship it out. Camera will count, and little bit of algo and artificial intelligence, it will generate its invoice and no need to count the products. You do so many safety, people are there conducting safety audits. These cameras will say which are unsafe practices, algo will be in the AI, and you need not have a safety round inside the factory. So, lot of things we talk about scrap, lot of audits happen on scrap, what happened to scrap. With vision, with this camera, and connecting this weighing machine through robotic process automation, you will eliminate, you don't require anybody. Just place something on this, automatically invoice will come, how much is the cost of that scrap. Even auditor, no auditor in the world can challenge you.
So Rajiv, just in the interest of time, I think we are already
Okay, so sorry, I think that was the last example. So I think if we have to beat, Indonesias of the world, and we have to be global 3 economy. We also have to be modern in manufacturing. So it may not look, but honestly, by practical, and we have envisaged that this automation, once, because we never correct only direct cost, if we see the indirect cost also, good ROIs will come with automation. Thank you.
So I think we have like 2 minutes left. Yeah, so just last thoughts on if we have any questions, or to Rishi or to sir, just one advice if you have to give to someone, and I'm picking on your thought only, that everybody is on a different transformation journey in different part of the supply chain that they are managing. If there is one advice that you want to give to people out here, because I'm sure many of them would be undergoing supply chain transformation, IT transformation in supply chain transformation, right? So one word of advice, and then I think we will try to have time for one question or two, depending on how delayed we are.
Sure. So I think one advice has already gone, that we need to identify at which stage we are. I think second thing which I'll leave you with a thought is the talent which is available while we are doing lot of transformation. It's required, it's the need of the hour. I think something which is missing in the industry is the talent to handle this transformation. Thank you.
I'll just add related to word transformation only, that let's create those annual operating plans which have got elements of transformation, not just incremental improvements.
Last process, we have so much of data generated inside supply chain, and we are not doing justice to this data because it is so big that we cannot handle it. I think we should use some tools of big data, like we have maintenance engineer, we have quality engineer. I think we need data engineers in our supply chain system. I think we will do fantastic if we have data engineers. This time is for data engineers, and we should analyze our data. Thank you.
Thank you. I think if anyone has any question, although we are running over time, yeah. One question, I think, sir. Either.
I think it's very, very good discussion, first of all. And thank you, all of you, for giving such an enlightening thought. I have only one question, and all of you have touched upon it. Talent development or capability development. We all agree it should be there. But any practical advice or any practical experience, how do you really do it? So Rajiv, maybe you can only answer it better.
I've done, this is a very excellent question, like we keep on discussing in various forums. What I have seen internationally, that collab with our universities is very less. Together we are not doing, and this is not depriving industry only, it is depriving the university also, because they also don't know how they have to structure their programs, though some science has come into it. Even if you see Thapar or you see BITS Pilani, they have done tie-up with TCS, some have done with Schneider, they have done tie-ups so that they have changed their little bit of programs. That's why new programs are coming into engineering. So what we at Luminous do, we have tied up with various universities so that our skilled people, while they can do collaborative projects together, so they understand what is happening, because our academia also has a lot of knowledge and they keep on updating themselves. One is we have done that part. Second thing is we send them to different factories, not necessarily our own factories, but maybe totally different kind of factories. For example, if we are from durables, we send them to FMCG and we do projects together, that so that we can learn from each other and that competence can be enhanced. And finally, we also go on international tours, so wherein we pick up, and I encourage forums like this where we can have these common thoughts and we can develop this common pool who can really keep this talent pool of future ready. So this is some of the practices we do.
30 seconds on this, I think just to keep you, I was part of national logistics policy making. To answer your question, sir, government itself is giving a lot of thrust. Now there are universities like Gati Shakti University in Baroda. There are university like DSEU, which is the skill and entrepreneurship building, which government is giving the skills in logistics area specifically. These are the certified programs. Companies and the industry must come forward and nominate their people over there. Otherwise, you can get the people also from there inducted into your company. Just, it's part of NLP.
One more thing on this is, you can see Indian Institute of Packaging. So we never take their help, but we are doing some projects with them. It's very important that academia and industry, like they do in Western countries or they do in Japan and Korea, we should work on common projects if we have to lift our people.
On talent, I want to just add one piece, a small piece of advice, which helped me a lot in my career journey. So we have got a large number of people in our companies, and I would recommend for all of the people that you have in your company, especially white collar people, just create an Excel sheet where for each person list 3 strengths they have and 3 improvement area they have, and don't work on improvement area. Whichever strengths they have, give them projects and associated transformations which they can contribute to, and you can see that how many diamonds you have hidden in your company.
So I think I'll just want to wrap it up by saying that while skill is so important, but transformation is such a big journey. I think what we also should be mindful of is that we should also look at the will over skill at times, because if will is there, then many things happen. Skill without will does not help us much, and transformation is a journey. So my thoughts, and sorry for taking up so much time. Thank you.
Thank you.